Kim Nelson running for South Carolina's 4th congressional seat. Kim, welcome to MeidasTouch. How are you?
Hi, fine, thanks. Thank you for having me.
So first and foremost, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I know from hearing your speeches and reading your biography that your mom played a very important role in your life and your decision to go into politics. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so my parents divorced when I was pretty young, and I grew up in a house with my mom and my sister here in Greenville, South Carolina. And my mom was a medical receptionist, so she didn't earn a lot. She was a single mom, and there are challenges that come with that. But when I was about 15, she had a medical emergency, and it was really the first time I saw how quickly families can face losing everything just because you have the misfortune of getting sick. And I think being 15 when that happened, it really shaped me. We as a family had a lot of conversations around healthcare as a result, who has access to it, how much it should cost, what those values are. And that's shaped me into the public health professional and the mom I have become today.
And so before running, you have a master's in public health?
Yeah, I do. I just finished in December. So I was raising 2 little kids, working, doing graduate school, and running for Congress all at once. And it was a lot.
Well, congratulations for getting it done and making healthcare, which is an issue in the 4th, an issue across the country, a major issue, particularly right now. What issues do you see as being, obviously with what's going on with the coronavirus and the response, but what issues do you see are at the forefront of the type of changes we need, in our public health system?
Well, that's a really good question. So the problems that we're seeing with coronavirus, they didn't start when we got our first cases as a country. They actually go back decades, and pretty much every administration for several decades has cut public health in some way, shape, or form. We have not been a priority, and I think it's because when public health is working really well, you shouldn't see us. We should exist in the background. And it's only when we're in a crisis that you realize, oh, maybe we shouldn't have cut health departments. Maybe we should have made sure we were training public health staff. And so we need that infrastructure back in place. We need to make sure that going forward, we do fund public health because we have to be proactive with it, not just reactive. We need to have the ability to grow capacity when we do find ourselves in these crises, because pandemics, with climate breakdown, with factory farming, unfortunately, they're only going to become more common. This is not a one and done situation. We have to prepare for this to happen over and over again. And just like we have whole fire battalions ready to combat forest fires, should they happen, we need that same response should pandemics happen. We need to be able to scale up very quickly. So it's investing in personnel, it's investing in those laboratory capabilities, and making sure that we have the tools that our population needs to stay safe, like access to preventative care, like those social needs that often go unmet and can't necessarily be met through the healthcare system.
So in addition to those necessary changes in the healthcare system, any other major issues that are currently confronting the 4th that are very important to your congressional campaign and part of your campaign of how you're going to flip the 4th?
Yeah, so where I am in South Carolina, everybody knows Charleston, which is down on the coast. I'm inland. I'm up towards the North Carolina border, kind of in the mountains, halfway between Atlanta and Georgia. And it is an area that is often perceived as very prosperous, and it is. But there's a lot of disparity here. It's one of the hardest places in the country, actually, to escape poverty if you were born into it. And we are seeing, with all this growth we've had in, really the past 10 years, we're seeing this widening income gap between the haves and the have-nots. And it's causing things like child homelessness via gentrification, for example. And so if we go upstream and we look at what drives those issues, it's things like wage inequality. In South Carolina, our minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. We are a right to work state. So our workers, they don't really have much protection to advocate for better working conditions or better salaries or better benefits. We don't have paid family leave across the board. Those are issues that disproportionately affect women, particularly women of color. Even something like universal pre-kindergarten, universal preschool, something like that, it's a huge financial barrier to families in particular to come out of pocket for childcare. And even just opening preschool up to 4-year-olds universally, that's 1 year of daycare that families don't have to cover. And it would be a huge savings to families.
And Kim, on this Mother's Day, a lot of families, in the state, across the country, are struggling, unfortunately, with the coronavirus, with an economy that looks to be, in a depression, quite frankly. Is there any message that you'd like to send to the mothers out there in the congressional district you're running for, in the state, or across the country?
Yeah, I would say, to moms, put on your mama bear hat and do what you have to do to protect your family. And that means you gotta vote. You've got to think of what your children need and rise to meet the moment. The cavalry isn't coming for us. We are on our own. And the good news is that we do have so many people who understand those challenges running for office. It's not just me. There are several state and local candidates too who we share this vision for what we could be and the equity we could have. So you are not alone in the struggle. There are people who are very much in the same boat and working to make change, and we would love to have you join us.
And Kim, where can voters find out more information about you and the campaign?
I am on social media. It's at Kim for SC, the word for, not the number, FOR. And on my website is kimnelsonforcongress.com. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or you can email us at team@kimnelsonforcongress.com. Kim
Nelson, Democratic candidate running for the 4th congressional seat. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks.